My name is Senator Morgan Komichi, the National Chairperson of MDC, popularly known as MDCT, the very party that was being led by President Morgan Tsvangirai the late, which he left. We are currently going to be sharing some of the development that have taken place in the party for the last 1 to 2 weeks. We want to share with the people that the MDC has recalled 4 members of parliament who are Mr. Shelton Wende, Mr. Prosper Mtseani, Madam Tabita Kumalo, and Madam Lillian Timivias, simply because they've not been towing the requirements of our party constitution. The party constitution states clearly that if you decide to follow another party which is not MDC, you are automatically expelled and you cease to be the member of the party. This is what happened to why these members of parliament were then withdrawn from parliament. It is not really our desire or our intention to recall members of parliament. We want members of parliament to come and work in their part freely and openly. They must continue to participate, develop MDCT as it was left by President Morgan Tsvangirai. We want everyone to feel free. We encourage everyone to come without any fear. We don't want anyone to be intimidated. We don't want anyone to feel threatened by anyone. However, we are aware that there are certain individuals who purport to own members of parliament who continue to threaten them. For an example, we are aware that members of parliament were all asked to resign in mass. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional. And those people who are claiming or who are inciting members of parliament to resign in mass have no authority over members of parliament. They have no authority whatsoever on MDC party members. We all know that all MDC party members belong to MDC as a party. It's only MDC led by ourselves. I, as national chairman of the party, has got the authority to ask members of parliament to resign in mass. But we will never do that. We don't want that. So we're giving the confidence to the members of parliament not to follow that instruction. It's an illegal instruction, and no one will have the power to withdraw them from parliament. No one. The people that are purporting to have authority were declared by the Supreme Court to be illegitimate. They are no longer holding any party positions. So they have no authority whatsoever on members of parliament. They have no authority whatsoever on councillors. So you are free, listen, only take instructions from our party MDC. The leadership is very clear. There is Senator Komichi. If he gives an order, try to comply with it. So far, I'm giving an order that do not resign. We will be calling caucus meetings for members of parliament. We will be calling caucus meetings for the councillors. I urge all of you to attend, to show your solidarity, to show your support to the party that was left by President Morgan Tsvangirai. This is what you must always remember. We don't want to form a new party. We don't want to take you astray. We want you to remain under the leadership that was left by President Tsvangirai when he passed on in 2018, 14 February. So we have the leadership that is in place. So really, I want to assure you, you are safe under our hands.
Okay, have you tried to engage with the MDC councillors, the MDC MPs before addressing us?
We are in communication with a number of members of parliament and councillors. And so far, we've never come across any member of parliament who wants to leave MDC. We've not come across any councillor who wants to leave MDC. They are all saying, we've been intimidated, we've been threatened, we did not know where the power was. But now, since you have shown your power in parliament by recalling these 4 members of parliament, we are now going to go along with you. We will not abandon the MDC, our original party, and we will not join any other political party. So this is what so far we have got as feedback. No member of parliament wants to leave the MDC party. So we are currently communicating and encouraging, motivating, and giving them strength to stand. They must not be intimidated.
How many MPs and councillors are in your pass like now?
All of them. There's no one who has shown, as I said, no one has shown that he or she is prepared to leave the MDC. So far, there's no one that has really shown that interest. Nobody at all. They are all interested in continuing. But they are not here for individuals or for certain names. They are here for the for the struggle. They are here for their party. They know the core values of the organization is to fight for change, make sure that we liberate Zimbabwe, so that we improve the economy of the country, so that at least we give the freedom to the Zimbabweans. These are the values which really guide them. They are not guided by certain individuals. If an individual makes a mistake, he cannot then hold people at ransom.
Okay, yesterday the MDC Alliance standing committee expelled you from the party. Do you accept their decision on you?
I cannot be expelled from MDC by people that are not in MDC. As you have rightly said, that the MDC Alliance team. The MDC Alliance team is not a party. MDC Alliance is an electoral pact that was formed by President Morgan Komichi as a vehicle to fight to fight collectively in an election. You know, the MDC Alliance is composed of 7 political parties, in which MDC is the key principle of the MDC Alliance election pact. So really, these people that are purporting to be owning MDC as a party, they are mistaken. They are actually committing a crime against humanity. There's nobody who can take that instruction. What they've done is like Morgan Komichi sitting down with the other leadership and they expel Zanu-PF members. What authority do they have over Zanu-PF party structures? So what authority do they have as a team of alliance guys to expel MDC people? We were never in MDC Alliance as a party. We never did that. I've been operating in MDC, but using MDC Alliance as a vehicle for elections. That I'm very clear, that I'm very conscious about it. We never at any particular stage formed the party. Remember, I was the national chairman of the party. Within a process psychiatric of the last 2 years, I also became the vice president. And I never witnessed at any particular day when we sat down as a leadership and transformed MDC Alliance into a political party. Never. I remember that we agreed to use MDCA as an election label so that we could not confuse with MDCT, which was being used by Madam Cooper. We did this actually a day before nomination as a way of making sure that we don't confuse voters. We never at all agreed or talked about transforming MDC into the party.
So are you still a member of MDC? Does the MDC still the members of MDC Alliance?
We are members of the MDC Alliance as an election package, as an election pact. We're actually going to call for a MDC Alliance with all members that are supposed to be there. It states clearly in the agreement that the head of the MDC Alliance is the head of MDCT. It states that. It was mandatory and made very clear that no one would lead the MDC Alliance election pact in the agreement besides the MDCT leader. So with the death of Morgan Komichi, the MDC Alliance election package is no leader. The MDC election pact is no leader. Currently doesn't have. Until we then go to the Extraordinary Congress and elect the MDCT leader, he or she automatically becomes the head of the alliance. So we will be able to call, soon after Extraordinary Congress, all members of the alliance to come to a meeting to either do two things, either to fold the MDC Alliance agreement or to give life to it so that it can continue as an election vehicle for next election. I have so far got in touch with all other members of the MDC Alliance, the TZ president and many others, and they are willing to come to a meeting which our MDCT president would call to look at the ongoing concern of the MDC Alliance agreement. These guys that are trying to transform MDC Alliance agreement, they are doing an illegal act. They are likely to be challenged by the members of the MDC Alliance election pact, because we as MDC will not let them abuse our name. Transform Zimbabwe will not also let them abuse that name, because it's a name that was being shared by 7 political parties.
The president of the PDP, Honorable Tendabiti, a few days ago, he addressed the Advent Chamisa as the only president of the MDC Alliance. When you come with your view and their view?
Honorable Biti, it is his own choice. He is free to say what he wants, legal or illegal. wrong or right. He's choosing. He's doing it for the people, his own personal convenience. He knows what he wants to achieve. He knows where he's going. Really, he knows the truth, that MDC alliance is not a party. He knows that. He knows that he didn't dissolve PDP as a party. He did not dissolve it. PDP still exists. It is under Madam Lucia Matibeng, is the head of PDP. So PDP is there somewhere. The constitution with its offices and its members. When he came to MDC, he did not dissolve PDP. So PDP still exists. Actually, it's Ncube who wrote a letter to dissolve his MDC party, to join MDC. He didn't join the MDC alliance. He joined MDC yes, of course. Actually, we are. He's not trying to run away. He wrote a letter dissolving his MDC to join the main MDC, the MDC. That is there on record. Ncube knows that. And he knows the MDC alliance was just an election pact.
If you try to engage him when this drama started?
He is not prepared to engage because he has got also his own personal ambition, his own personal concern. So he's trying to avoid the truth. He's trying to tell the people the lies. He is not prepared to engage with anyone because when people benefit from an illegal process, they benefited something tangible in their lives. They achieved something tangible in their lives through an illegal process. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court judgment and the High Court have nullified those benefits. What do you want them to do? Definitely they would appear unreasonable when they know the truth. When they are in their own bedrooms and their friends, and they will tell the people the truth, that we've been thrown under the bus, we followed up in a legal process. And the legal process has been nullified. The Supreme Court judgment is over. It has declared the whole processes that were done from 2016 over to 2018 up to now to be illegal, null and void. So whatever positions that these guys have been holding have been nullified. So they should definitely react. They should definitely defend their own personal interest. They know the truth, that they're not telling people the truth at all.
Do you both parties save people's interests?
Definitely.
MDC
we are MDC.
How are you showing it?
MDC, we are saving the interest of the party. Remember, every organization is formed around core values. There are reasons why you are formed as an organization. You are there to produce certain product. If you're a company, if you have been established as a company to make Coca-Cola, produce Coca-Cola. If you have been established as a company to produce bananas. Those are the values of that particular organization. Why you are there, why you exist. We exist here to fight for democracy. We exist here to fight for constitutionalism. We exist to fight for the people's justice. These are the values which have been violated by the so-called MDC alliance leadership. They violated the constitution of the party. So we're going astray. So the interests of the people were no longer being served. So we are here standing to make sure that go back to the roots of the party and be able to serve the interests of the people. So the interest of the people is to liberate the people from Zanu-PF oppression. We are there to, but if we do not then respect these values that have been created for the existence of that organization, ceases to be there. So the leadership that you hear, they agreed among themselves to violate the core values, the very existence, the very values that were created for. So I'm saying MDC leadership is saying, let us do what we were formed for. These guys are saying, forget about what we were formed for. What we simply need is power. We don't care whether democracy is there, constitutionalism is there, justice is there. We don't care about it. We want power.
But the masses, they're with them.
No. The masses need to be educated. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you're with the masses, you're correct. Remember Jesus himself, he was beaten on election by a thief. Remember that? Jesus, when Pilato asked, whom should we hang between the thieves and Jesus? The majority says, let's hang let's hang Jesus and save the thieves. So it's not necessarily true that the masses are always correct. They need to be educated. We're going to be educating the people They're going to see real change. They're going to see why he was doing this. We appreciate 30 days from the court judgment. You don't expect any wonders. The people need to be conducted, to be engaged. They need to be educated. They need to, within a few months from now, you'll be surprised. The people will turn their back against a process that is illegal, the process that does not really represent the values of humanity. The values that we broke for the last 2 years are values that represent humanity. And we need to educate the people along that way.
But they're saying you're working with Zanu-PF in this project.
Those are allegations that we have been purported since. Remember when Westman went away in 2005, he was labeled a Zanu-PF agent. When BT went away in 2014, he was labeled Zanu-PF agent. When Madam Cooper went away in 2018, she was labeled Zanu-PF agent. Today, when Senator Morgan Komichi goes away, when he stands for the truth, not going away, standing for the truth, is now labeled Zanu-PF agent. Can you really believe that? When I stood before the whole world and declared elections fake, results fake before the whole world, I sacrificed my life. I was taken to jail for 6 months for fighting against the Mugabe regime during 2013 election. And I stood up with the MDC people. I was arrested, I was jailed, I was sentenced, I was tortured, everything happened. You know, I'm the most victimized person by the Zanu-PF, by the Zanu-PF regime. I'm the most probably hated by the system. And today I become their friend. But no, that's really wrong.
But they're saying they're following money. Zanu-PF have money.
I will never follow money. I stand for the values. Listen to what I am saying. We want people to follow democracy, rule of law, constitutionalism. These are our values in the party. There's no money there. There's no money. When we violated our own constitution in 2018 at the Harvest House, I was among the people that were there. Zanu-PF was not there. ED was there. The system was not there. How can they be involved now? When we did our own mess, when we tarnished our own image, when we committed our own crime, now we've been caught outside the law. The law is caught up with us. We are now trying to look for an excuse. Blame. I'm not bitter at all. I'm not bitter at all. When we stand for values in the reality, people can always look for excuses. I'm not bitter at all. If I were bitter, I could have been avoiding extraordinary Congress. Why do I call for the Congress? I'm calling for the extraordinary Congress to elect the rightful leader. And I'm not going to impose myself as the president of MDC. I'm not going to. Those guys who are on the other side of our argument are free to come and contest. And if they believe that they are popular, they will be re-elected and we'll support them. We're not imposing a leader. We're simply saying, let's go back and correct where we messed up. Where we did not follow our own constitution, let's correct it. And is it really arguable that we did not follow our constitution? Is there any normal person who really believes that we did not break the constitution? Is there any person who denies that the court was correct? Can we really sit down and agree that what we did for the last 2 years was constitutional? In our own party constitution, not the national constitution. Section 211 is very clear on what we should do when the president dies. We did not do that.
But you were some of the people who were pushing for Advocate Chamisa to be the leader of the party. Why didn't you follow the constitution?
I followed the constitution. I advised him. He was then the leader of the party. Remember when the President Morgan Komichi died, the MDC had 3 vice presidents. No one had got the judgment to disqualify the other 2. Remember, young man Murimoga took the party to court in 2017, and the case was thrown away on technicalities. So the vice president from 2016 to 2018 was still constitutional as far as we're concerned, because there was no court judgment. People had agreed in the party that they had done the right thing. So really, among the 3 people that were eligible to act, Madam Kupe, Honorable Mzuri, and Honorable Chamisa was the best foot forward by then. But we did not agree on that day to violate the constitution of the party. We then went on to discuss and say, now that you are the acting president, let us now prepare for the extraordinary Congress. And he refused, for the reasons known to him. He refused. So really, I did not just follow blindly. I did not do that. I was advising internally. Some other people advise public, they use megaphone approaches. I did not use the megaphone approach.
But why didn't you keep on being in that same bus, which was not following the constitution of the party?
Because I'm a constitutionalist. I cannot continue to be in the bus that does not respect the constitution for the endless time. It came a time when I had to say, no, enough is enough. And I gave this indication, constitutionalism, before the Supreme Court judgment. If you go to the WhatsApp groups and everything else, you would trace that I was being attacked for saying whatever comes from the Supreme Court judgment, we need to respect, because we cannot go against the rule of law. I said to the people. Actually, I indicated my desire to respect the rule of law in April 2019, when the High Court judgment came, when I had a meeting with the leaders in the MDC. And I indicated my desire to respect the rule of law, to respect our own constitution. So when the Supreme Court judgment came, I was already ready for us to express my real feelings, to express my real me. By the way, being quiet does not necessarily mean that you are complying. It's not it. It's not it. It's actually a strategy sometimes. As I've already said before to people, people should apply different strategies. If a situation takes place, a conflict happens. They say in conflict management resolution, your reaction determines the magnitude of the conflict. You can actually make it worse by your reaction. You have to be strategic when dealing with conflicts. You be strategic because you don't want the conflicts to escalate. You don't want the conflicts to destroy whatever you are working on. You need to manage them in a strategic way. Sometimes when you say to somebody, sorry, when you're not actually wrong, you are not necessarily meaning that you are condoning that act. You are doing it for purpose of strategy, purpose of managing the conflict. So whatever I was doing, I was managing the conflict. I did not want to destroy the organization. Remember when Morgan Komichi died, we were only 5 months from the election. We didn't need to be careless to destroy the organization. Otherwise, we were going to get nothing from the election. So we had to make decisions, sacrifice certain decisions, manage our emotions, so that we should be able to go to an election and with our party intact. That is what we wanted.
Okay, let's come back to the issue of the Extraordinary Congress. You are part of the team who are organizing for the Extraordinary Congress for the MDCT, others call it MDC Changirai. How prepared are you in the meantime?
We are very much prepared. Very much prepared in this.
At what stage are you like now?
At the moment, we are reorganizing our structures. We are reorganizing our party structures. Remember, we are going to go to Congress with the 2014 structures. And the last 2 years, a number of people have been, dislocated from their places. A number of people were lost. Some of the people have died. Some of the people went away. And we are now reorganizing that. We have put up an organizing committee led by Honorable Bebe, Abednego Bebe, the organizing secretary of MDC. He has now got in touch with all organizers in the party, that is in the country, all organized in the country, to make sure that we regroup people in all districts and wards, to make sure that the names are being written, so that we can compare them with the database that we already had, which Honorable Bebe has. So we're doing that, verify the people that are still there. Don't forget that the other people really would want to go with the other group. We don't suppress them. We don't intimidate them. They are free to do so. So we're doing audit currently of our structures. So we're actually on schedule. We're happy with the progress so far. So we're going to be able to meet our deadline. Remember our deadline, we got 2 deadlines. There is one 30th June, which is the deadline which was given to Madam Coupe. Then the second deadline, which is 31st July, that was given to the national chairperson, Senator Morgan Komichi. So we'll meet it. If we do not meet the deadline within Madam Coupe's time, we'll meet the deadline under my control. So really, we're on schedule. We are very excited. People are very excited, by the way, all over the country, that they want to go and do the right thing.
Did you manage to contact Advocate Nelson Chamisa on this issue regarding the Extraordinary Congress?
We have sent emissaries to speak to to Advocate Chamisa to respect the Constitution and to respect the Supreme Court judgment. He's not interested from what we get as feedbacks. He's got his own plans. He's an individual. We cannot force him.
And after you've sent messages to him, what was his reply?
No, he's not. Actually, he's got that mantra of saying, Vakatengesa Morgan Komichi, ndeve Zanu, this kind of mantra. Vakatengesa ndeve Zanu, which is just a mantra which I've just said. Everyone who stands up against the truth for justice and constitutionalism is labeled as an Zanu-PF project. Really, people should ignore that. People must not even listen to that. It's not the truth.
But aren't you afraid of your differences with the Chamisa group, or will send into political dustbin?
No, it will not. Actually, you'll be shocked for the first time that we are correct. But we've remained with the main part. If you go back to history, when Ngosime went away from the main part, and he went to the dustbin. But he went away, left the main part, and then went to the dustbin. So the people that have left with the MDC alliance, this is no longer MDC. The MDC that was formed by Morgan Komichi and this team is the one that we are in charge of. The one that is in charge of members of parliament today. The one that is in charge of the Harvest House today. The one that will be in charge of the finances. Those are pillars of the organization. These guys are going to go away. Remember, the MDC Alliance election package is very clear on how many MPs are there for each political party. So the MDC has got 4 members of parliament. The PDP has got 4. The rest are under MDCT. So the MDCT part is the part that will remain with a chunk of money. Okay. So really, it's not us that have gone out of the party. I think many people are very much mistaken. It's actually the other team that has gone out of the party, because the MDC Alliance was not formed 20 years ago. What was formed 20 years ago is the MDC. So that's the main party. This shake that we hear people saying, it's temporary, my friend. It's a temporary situation. It will change. We've got the capacity, we've got the strategy. We've got the strategies to change the people's minds. And even the perception, we will change it. That I can assure you.
Is Zanu-PF funding the conflict with MDC?
No, that I know. I don't even know. Where do we put Zanu-PF? Why do you always think that when people fight, Zanu-PF is involved? Are you saying MDC people have no brains? Are we saying we are dwarfed? We cannot see what is wrong and what is right? Why do you think Zanu-PF has got higher intellect than us? Why do you think so? Why do you always want to put blame on Zanu-PF for your own failures? When you fail, accept your failures. When you cannot run the organization, don't blame other people. Why do you have to say that? Every time things happen in MDC, people blame Zanu-PF. It's a very silly excuse. We cannot accept that. We can stand on our own as men and women who believe in constitutionalism and democracy, in justice, in the rule of law. We believe in that. We're committed to that. We're not going to compromise on those values.
Coming back to the issue of inside the Congress, how many people have you managed to get in touch with for MDC to be going to?
We are now more than 60% people that have been contacted, more than 60%. But we want to actually go to more than 75%, giving room for other people that will not come, giving room for other people that have already died, giving room to other people that want to follow the other team. But we want to achieve more than 75%. And we are going to achieve it. You know, many people will be shocked on the very day the Congress will be held. It will be oversubscribed by people. Oversubscribed. People are willing to come. We are receiving telephones from all over the world, all over the country. As far back as Muzi, people are phoning. As far down as Chirezi, people are phoning. In Gwanda, people are phoning. In Binga, people are phoning. They are committing themselves to come. They are prepared even to sell their goats and cattle to come and attend this Congress. They are prepared to come and sleep outside outside for the sake of this Congress. They are happy. Some people are saying to me, Morgan Komichi wamuka. Wamuka, vamuka ufa no wamuka. Takumuona Morgan Komichi wakufamba. Party dia zikira kwa yanga yaenda. It's now we are now back to this original status. Morgan Komichi is alive. Is back. Is now moving around the country. This is how people feel. They are so excited and they are so happy.
Okay, for the sake of peace, have you ever tried to engage in even churches to to solve the issue within?
We've lined up programs to make sure that we engage churches, civil society organizations, ZCTU. We've already made some appointments with it. We are going to do that to make sure that it. But there must be clarity first. There must be clarity of who is who. How can you engage when there's no clarity? The situation is getting clearer now on who is who by the recall that we've made in Parliament. We need to constitute ourselves into an entity before we can engage into serious business.
Recalling those MPs in the Senate, were you setting an example?
They did not follow the party constitution.
Like, can you give an example?
The party constitution is this, that if you show that you are no longer serving the interest of the organization that you belong to, that is section 510A. If you do not follow, or you have indicated that you have lost, you are no longer serving the interest of the party, MDC, you automatically expel yourself and you cease to be the member of the party. So this is what these guys who were expelled were doing. Simple.
Okay, final ways to people who have been watching you, thousands of people who support MDC. What do you want to say to them?
I want to call upon members of the nation, the community, the entire community at large, to support us. We are right. We are going to serve your interests. We are going to make sure that the organization that have always believed in MDC is not going to die or collapse. We are going to assure you that the values that we were formed for, which is constitutionalism, democracy, peace,